Good evening. You're listening to Crash Talk. I'm Mike Harber, your host, and I hope everyone is well and you're making memories during this time of stay at home, stay well. At least here in the Northwest, that's the buzzword. I believe this is our ninth week, or maybe I said that last week. I am totally confused on my time. So I've had a number of people that have sent me questions, comments, and I just want to thank everybody for spending your Friday evening with me, and at least for those of you that are spending it live. Some may be listening to this after hours, but I had an attorney friend tell me last week. He said, "Well, I didn't tune in because at 5 o'clock I was having a cocktail." Let me just say, first off, this is family friendly. But if you would like to go pour yourself a your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, be comfortable. Let's just spend a little bit of time together. And I hope to be able to share you something that you maybe don't need to use now, but you will need to use sometime in the future. So first off, I have to read the disclaimer, like I've been told, that none of the information provided by yours truly, Daryl M. Harber, I go by Mike, or Crash Talk is intended to be, nor should be, construed as legal advice or the interpretation of law. Consumers with questions, matters of law, should consult with a licensed attorney. And if you need a referral to an attorney, let us know. We work with many attorneys, and there's many good attorneys out there that would be more than willing to answer your questions. So with that, I was thinking about, as I'm here working from home, we're working remote, we're complying with the governor's order in our state. And instead of thinking about how bad this is, and believe me, I miss my family, I miss my children, I miss my grandchildren. That's the toughest part. But let's look at the good side, because there is some good side to this. For example, just think of how much gas you're saving. How much time are you spending in commute? I've picked up 2 hours a day that I never had before, that I spent commuting back and forth to the office. How about haircuts? I know I need one, but just think all the money I've saved on haircuts. And if my barber's listening, I really appreciate you, but it is a savings. Cologne, razor blades. I shave for you all tonight, but if I can make it all week long, I'll go all week long. But there's there's so many things. I'm saving on cologne, and the commute, if you do have to go out, it's amazing. So I think maybe they have finally figured out a way that they can take care of our traffic problems, make it a stay-at-home order, and then traffic's fine. So now we don't even need light rail or any of that. Couple things I just want to explain. You can go to the chat and you can send me a question while the show is going on. I'll try to answer questions. I had some of the comments I had last week that they liked my shirt. I think I may, until the stay-at-home order, this may be my attire. And I hope you understand the little play on words. Like a good neighbor, stay over there. So a couple of the other things. We've set this up now to where we are posting each of the episodes. They're on YouTube, but I went to YouTube, and I'm technically challenged, and everybody knows that. Kind of gets a little bit of I get razzed for that because of my lack of knowledge about technical things. But if you go to YouTube and you just do a search for Crash Talk, because I did that just to see, and this guy comes up with a bag over his head. It's called Crash Talk, something about schoolboy. I mean, who is that? And then there's a little disclaimer on the side, and it says, beware explicit language. So please, I have nothing to do with that guy. I've already had the joke that I need to come on with a bag on my head, cut the eyeballs out. I don't think so. But if you go to our landing page, and if you want to share this with anybody, if you go to crashtalk.com, you can click and it'll take you right to our past episodes, or it'll take you to the live feed, or you can send me questions from there, which would be helpful because I will try to respond to your questions. And I do have a couple of them tonight that I'm going to respond to. So anyway, don't confuse me with the guy with the bag on his head. I have nothing to do with him. Matter of fact, I was thinking about Schoolboy when we did Crash Talk. Crash Talk was a friend of mine actually recommended that name when we started the talk show well over 18 years ago, 20 years ago, long time. So whoever that guy is, he was probably in kindergarten, and hey, maybe we inspired him. Maybe he saw or listened to Crash Talk when we were on the radio, and he was in kindergarten, and maybe he got inspired. So who knows? It's a funny world out there. So I've already given the disclaimer. The other thing too, it looks like we've got 11 subscribers, and I thought, wow, we just got this posted, and there's 11 people that have subscribed, and then all of a sudden I realized, wait a second. My son, my daughter, their families, and my grandkids. I have 11 children and grandchildren. So maybe I shouldn't get too excited yet, but please subscribe. I think, what do they give you, a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Let me know what you think. I'm just trying to provide good information so when you need it, you have it. And you don't know you need it until you need it. And then you'll wish you had it. So, and the episodes will be posted. Last week's was entirely about diminished value. We went a little bit long. I'm going to try to keep our sessions to about 30 minutes, depending on questions. If there's more questions, we can stay. But I listened to a couple sessions here in this last 2 weeks. This is a little bit off the subject, but I know we've got business owners that are listening. And if you have insurance for your business, there's a provision in there. It's called business interruption. And how does that apply right now? Pandemic, there's actually, Lloyd's actually has a provision in their policy for pandemic coverage. So if you have insurance, you may want to take a look at it. If there's a specific exclusion for virus, not bacteria, not mold. A virus is different. But if you have an insurance on your business, you should make a claim. At least get the claim in. It will be denied right now. They're denying all claims for business interruption because of this pandemic. But here's what I'm being told is that you get your, you make the claim and it's denied, but you're on the record. You've made the claim. You've got you may have a claim number and it's denied. If our government, in their mighty wisdom, decides to enforce the provisions under those policies and they make the insurance companies pay claims and you have not made a claim, you're out of luck. So you need to get it in. Don't get stressed if it's denied. Just make the claim. It's interruption of your business. And that's the claim that you're making to your insurance company. And I understand Hartford, they're kind of wide open. That's one of the companies that they don't have any exclusions. And so if you've got a business policy with Hartford, you may be wanting to make a claim. One of the questions that came in, and what I thought we would talk about tonight, bad repairs. And last week, one of the questions was, if an insurance company gets involved in the repair process and they eliminate or limit how much they're going to pay or what they're going to pay, or they start dictating to a body shop what to do, then does that affect a diminished value claim, or does that make it a better claim or a worse claim? Well, the question is, or the answer to that question is, Did they do something that affected the repair? Was the repair less than pre-loss condition? And remember, if you listened last week, an insurance company, under the terms of the policy, they're required by contract to pay to restore your vehicle back to the condition it was before, like, kind, and quality, pre-loss condition. Now, if you're taking advice from the party that damaged your vehicle, that insurance company doesn't have any duty to you at all. So they can do really whatever they can get away with. And that's where most people get stuck. They don't understand their rights, and they don't understand what they need to do to assert those rights. And it's really unfortunate, because I find people come to me after the fact. We have a new client that has just contacted us that we hope that we're going to be able to start helping next week. And it's the same story. We hear this over and over again. They end up going to a body shop, they have repairs completed, and then things don't seem right. And as a consumer, if you're looking at your vehicle and it doesn't look right to you, then there's usually big problems. Because if gaps aren't right, if doors don't fit, if there's wind leaks, a lot of times it's not just an adjustment. Quite often, there's something deeper. It's like a foundation of the house. If the foundation isn't correct, then as you try to build that house, what happens is the doors don't fit, or you've got your windows and they're hard to open, or you got air leaks in the house, squeaks, rattles. Same thing with the vehicle. The structure, the frame of the vehicle, if it's not right, then as they build it and they put it back together, we got problems. And I can quite often look at the paperwork from a repair and see that they didn't even do all the necessary operations that are required to properly repair a vehicle. And so I guess we'll start with that first. This was a letter that was sent to me. I'm not going to give out any names. It was sent to me anonymously from a very good source. This is a 5-page letter written by a very informed consumer on a repair. He was directed by the insurance company to go to their shop, and they make it sound like this is the way you have to do it. Oh, you need to take it into our shop to get an estimate. Well, you go to get an estimate, and all of a sudden they're sucking you in. They're getting you to leave the car. They're telling you just we'll take care of everything. We'll make it easy for you. Beware. That's all I can say is beware. There's what's called a system that the insurance companies initiated years ago called the direct repair programs. It's referred to as the DRPs, direct repair programs. And under those programs, the body shops sign a contract with the insurance company that they're going to save them money, and they're going to do it fast, because the longer it takes, the longer it's in a shop. If somebody's paying for a rental car, there's more cost. So the insurance companies, they're interested in fast and cheap. Well, what are you going to get when you get it fast and cheap? You're going to end up with something that you're not satisfied with when it's given back to you. And we find that over and over and over. One of the services we provide are post-repair inspections, and they usually always turn into a bit of a nightmare. But this was this particular, just a couple pieces of this, but I thought this was really not the average consumer. This person really did some homework to where they understood after the fact what was going on. They were involved, and they wrote this letter to the insurance commissioner and to the attorney general's office, and exposed a number of violations. There were some laws that were broken. Let me stop. And I do want to say, because I clear up a misconception. It's been said, and even in some of the depositions I've been in, Mr. Harber, you hate insurance companies. are you go out of your way to create trouble for insurance companies. That's not true. I love insurance companies. And I'm sure we've got some people from the insurance industry watching tonight. And like a good neighbor, I love you. I truly love you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a job. And because the way claims are handled, I don't think I'm ever going to have a shortage of work. And so I understand you have a job to do, and your job is to save money for your company, the company you work for. But that sometimes is not in the best interest of the consumer. And a lot of times inside adjusters don't understand what happens in the field. And the people that are in the field are being pressured and pushed in order to cut costs. Do it this way, do it that way. And that's how we end up with problems. So getting back to this, and he references the company that did this repair. I'm not going to do that. Let me just say, if an insurance company and a body shop have an agreement, a signed contract, it's my opinion, that's a conflict of interest. The law in this state is on the side of the consumer to protect the consumer. There's a law called the Automotive Repair Act. It's an RCW. It's very, very explicit about how a body shop, any repair facility, not just body shops, any repair facility is supposed to conduct business and disclose to their customer in order to have the right to receive payment for their services. And if they violate that, they don't have a right to be paid, and they cannot hold your vehicle. Now, that's a little bit of legal advice, but this is all I do. And if you need legal advice, seek that from an attorney. All right, so this body shop, and let's just say maybe sounds like baby food. They had him sign documents. He was just dropping the vehicle off for an estimate. And they said, this is a formality. Sign these documents. This is a formality to make the process simpler. Oh, my favorite saying, education is never cheap. And this gentleman got quite an education. He's got 5 pages here of his education. He agreed to sign with a verbal understanding that work would not commence without my knowledge or consent. I also requested a quote for the repair work would begin. All caps. I did not receive an estimate prior to the repairs beginning. I hear this all the time. You get a phone call, your car's ready to be picked up. It's like, I never even I never even pulled the trigger and said, go. He references the RCW, the violations, goes into a number of other things that this body shop did in taking his right, communicating with the insurance company, making decisions behind his back without his approval. And it wasn't his insurance company. And he thought he was just getting an estimate. He found that there were some notes later that the cost of repair started out at about $6,000. And then there was a section that they have a site that you can go to and you can see, I guess, back and forth what's taking place. And that there was a mention of bill at X insurance company that said you have until $15,318. What does that mean? That was the threshold. If you reach that amount in cost of repairs, it's a total loss. Well, guess what? The final bill came to, I think, just like, I don't know if he's got the exact amount in here, but he references that it was like within dollars of the amount that was referenced. He then had this vehicle inspected by a post-repair inspection company in Seattle that identified how poorly repaired it was, that it was unsafe to be on the road, And at the end of the story is the insurance company totaled the vehicle. And it's just like, well, how could they total the vehicle after they spent almost $15,000 on the repair? In the years that I've been doing this, and we stopped counting, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, we had over 300 vehicles that were totaled after repair. Because if they're so bad, and they should have probably been totaled in the very beginning, they get to make the decision. Are they going to put another $10,000 into this vehicle? And now they're exceeding the value. And I have another. I don't know if I have the other letter here with me, but there was another gentleman, the same thing. They asked, what can we do when the cost of repair ended up being more than my vehicle is even worth? Well, did you have a say-so in that? That's where you need some legal advice. I just want to say, and we've got a little brochure that we've made out, and it's very creative, and it was designed by one of my associates, much more creative than me. And the front of it says, your journey begins with the right shop. You need to make sure that the shop that you're entrusting the safety of your family and the investment you've got in this vehicle is working for you and not the insurance company. That's where you got to start. And there's fewer and fewer of those shops out there. We've got a list. We can give you a list of shops that we have a lot of confidence in. There's probably in the western part of the state, maybe a dozen, 10. There's few, and you need to know where they are. I need to answer a couple questions about diminished value, and I know we're going a little bit long. That was one of the comments is you're talking too long. You're taking too long. The first night they said it was too sharp. So anyway, try to make everybody happy. I've got a client. This is a client of mine, and this is PEMCO Insurance, and PEMCO. We determined how much your vehicle had gone down in value as a result of the accident, provided a report. She submitted it to the insurance company, and this is a response back. Now, I'm technically challenged, but they sent the letter to the client as a Word document. And the Word document actually has corrections, spell corrections made in the document. It's like, who sends Word documents in any kind of a matter where somebody can take the document and just change it? It's like, wow. So to start with, and this letter is 1 year after the day of the accident. So a couple things that are said here that I just thought would be worth kind of putting out here tonight. First off, going on, it says the vehicle was involved. This is the letter from PEMCO. This vehicle was involved in a prior front end accident on 10/2/17. Now this letter is actually written towards the end of last year. We're still trying to assist. At this point, okay, they're saying there was a prior accident. At this point, the inherent diminished value would have occurred. So what this adjuster is saying from PEMCO is that because you had a prior accident, that was your diminished value. There is no more. Last week, that was one of the truths or lies. That's not true. Just because there's a prior doesn't mean you have zero diminished value. It's about value. You have to take that in consideration in doing the determination. So I contacted this client and I said, you didn't tell me about a prior. She said, well, the prior, she bumped into a person, I think in a parking lot. It broke her license plate frame. Around her license plate, the part was less than $100. So she didn't do anything with it. That's the claim they're saying negates her diminished value claim. It's unbelievable. It says This vehicle had most of the damaged parts replaced with original equipment parts. The door and hinge pillar were repaired. There is no proof that the metal has been weakened. Well, again, it shows the lack of understanding for this particular adjuster. There's no proof that the metal's been weakened. Well, when you straighten metal, it's not the same. How many times have you gone to get the ice cream and the spoon bends? Well, the next time it just goes over very easy. But then there's no proof that it was weakened. The repairs were repaired and did not dictate how the repairs were completed. It doesn't even make sense. If the repairs were not completed or there's any issue with the repairs, that's something that would need to be addressed with the body shop, blah, 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 blah. There isn't any issues about repair. The issue is about the remaining lost value. It goes on and on. Repairing the 2 attached ads from Carfax. What does that have to do with anything? Like I said, this has got where you can see where she strikes stuff and then she's redone it in this Word document. So I don't know. And the fact that there's no structural damage. For all of you folks out there that are in the industry, a hinge pillar is structural. This is a unibody car. The body, certain parts of the body are structural, are the frame. A hinge pillar is part of the cage that protects occupants. It's the frame. It's structural, and it was repaired. It now has Bondo. I mean, the vehicle has diminished value. So I don't see that we've got any questions coming in tonight. Or no, maybe we do. So I would ask, we're getting close to a half hour. So, everybody's got stuff to do on a Friday night. I think, at least here in our state, you're chasing each other around the house. So let's please send me comments. You can go to crashtalk.com. There's a button you can click on to ask questions. Send me a question. We'll take a look at it and see if it's something that we can talk about during the show. If there's anything else, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, whatever that means. I'm not quite sure, but so more than my children and grandchildren have subscribed. So with that, I'll say good night. It's been a pleasure sharing with you tonight, and I hope I've given you some information that's useful. So good night from CrashTalk.